Hi YouTube. So our first few videos here are going to reconstruct the issues of measurement that we've run into and how we've problem solved those. First couple are not going to be measurement issues per se, but they're going to be regarding the documentation of issues of measurement. So this would be relevant for technical reports. So the documentation of what you found when you're doing your psychometric investigation. I'm going to open up our studio rather. And we have a few different projects, one of which still demonstrates what we want to talk about here tonight, which is an error that occurs in the documentation stage as we're using our markdown to render documents. In this particular case, the format of the document that we're looking to render is a conference poster. And so this particular conference poster was delivered at the Society for Industrial and Organizational Psychology in 2002. We have some co-authors here, and we're using poster down. And so one of the things that we're going to be focused on here is the bibliography files that we're using in this particular poster. So I'm going to knit and let's see what happens, see what's produced here in terms of this older file. These dates aren't correct because I just went into this repo, but probably last looked at this 8-9 months ago or so. And you can see here the render tab is still circulating. I still have, or circling, cycling. I still have my stop sign, which means that it's thinking. Just be patient and let it think. It's rendering as an HTML file. One of the things it'd be nice to change in this particular package is to have some different rendering options. The issue I want to talk about here has to do with the citations as they're printed. Now they're going to actually look like this regardless of whether we're knitting to, in this case, a poster, a conference poster, or a more traditional technical report in either a PDF or HTML type format. And the issue here is, why do I have these initials for this particular author? We have already asked for this document to be knit using the 7th edition of American Psychological Association Style Manual. And so in that style manual, when you see these initials typically indicate that these aren't the same person. Now I know that these are actually the same person. And so we're going to go into some of the problem solving, some of the reasons why you might actually get some unexpected initials, in particular first or second initials to an author name. So let's go ahead and revisit our bibliography. So we only have one bib file, so that's good. It's called jdr.bib. And I'm going to look at my file space here for jdr.bib. As long as I haven't worked on it recently, it should be alphabetized. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for Bacher. Now, the Bacher, should have chose a different name. The Bacher that is kind of the issue in this particular case is Arnold Bacher, and it's Arnold B. Bacher. Now, if we see what's going on with our knit document, Arnold B is indicated here, which is fine for Arnold B. I'm sure he doesn't mind that, but he doesn't need that. He's prolific enough. We don't need to know that it's Arnold B. Bacher or just Arnold Bacher. We want this to be consistent throughout in terms of the person being implicated. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look and see if there's anything wonky in our LaTeX formatted citations that might give the program pause to say, this Bacher must be different than another Bacher, when in fact we know that all Bachers are the same here. So we're going to do a search for Bacher and see what happens. Now these aren't going to show up very well. It's an issue with our markdown. The highlighting of the word that's found is not prominent. But I see one here on line 78. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for any sort of misspecification or difference between the line 80 Bacher and the line 71 Bacher. This can be very minute. It can be as innocuous or seemingly innocuous as a period. It can be because these programs are case sensitive. It could be a lowercase letter instead of an uppercase letter. Those two look okay. Arnold B. Bacher, Arnold B. Bacher. Because this is a fairly prolific author, I'm going to keep looking. I see a third one here on line 139. I see where we jumped to here. Oh, I'm on line 148. Make this a little bigger. And here I see my first potential indication that I might have an issue. And the first potential indication I might have an issue is now I no longer have Arnold B. Bacher. I simply have Arnold Bacher. Now if I look through my rendering here, I actually do see an A. Baker that's being called out with a 2003 article. In this particular poster, I don't think we have a reference section, so we're not going to be able to actually check in the reference section to see how that's rendered. But we can actually take a look in our bib file and see, yep, that is actually our 2003, or it is a 2003 site. So we might have reason to believe that this is our candidate. I'm just going to go and include that B as we have in these other cases. I'm going to render this document again, and I'm going to see if it does. I don't expect that it's going to do anything for my 2017 citation, in-text citation, but I do have a suspicion that it might do something with my 2003 in-text citation. So I'm going to go ahead and render that again. When you're working these bib files, if you're used to working in your RMDs, the default is to save upon knit. It doesn't happen with your bib files, so if you're problem solving in here, you do have to make sure to go ahead and save that. We have our projects connected to GitHub, and so you'll see when I do that I'm going to have some information populating my Git tab here. If you don't have a Git tab, don't worry about that. We'll have probably future articles, future vlogs, YouTube videos that discuss how to use GitHub for collaborative projects and what kind of advantages that might give you and what kind of additional headaches that might give you.
A few moments later.
Okay, there's my poster, and there's my, if we blow this up, we see that we actually did take care of two circumstances. So this can sometimes, it's one of those stick your finger in a hole in the dike circumstances where, and it's actually it's a good lesson in problem solving one thing at a time. And so instead of looking through my bib file for other potential, which I was tempted to do actually, but instead of looking through my bib file for other potential circumstances where Arnold B. Bacher looked a little different than other ones, I just changed one. And it's not at all uncommon to change one thing and it fixes everything. So I wasn't expecting that, but that one fix did actually give me a proper APA citation for two of the sites that were messed up. And so just to repeat what happened there, or what that looked like previously, I'll go ahead and take poor Arnold's middle name out as it was previously, and I'll render that document, and we can see, again with a bit of a time lag because of my slow computer, but we can see what effect that has on those trailing initials. or leading initials, I guess I should say.
One eternity later.
And yeah, here you see with that simple addition or omission of the letter B, I've screwed up several different citations, all referencing Bacher there. And this being a summary of a broader paper, this particular poster didn't utilize all of those citations that we actually have in our bib file. That's fine. But the citations that I did call up in here did have a conflict in them, and just fixing the one little b actually gave us a document that no longer had those leading initials that we don't want there, that aren't in fact an accurate representation of difference or similarity in authorship.